friends, and thank you very much for being here this afternoon, despite it being sandwiched between a weekend and a festive occasion. My belated festive greetings to all of you. But work has to go on, so I'm grateful that all of you have come here for this weekly interaction. And I have here with me my colleague, Joint Secretary South, Mr. Sanjay Bhattacharya, who is well known to you. And given that we will be focusing on an area of his expertise, I requested him to be here so that he can respond to any issues that you may have when we complete the announcement and the briefing on that. I have one announcement to make, and following which, as usual, the floor will be open for you to ask any questions on that announcement. And after that, if there are any areas of interest to you, we will try and respond to that. The announcement that I have relates to a incoming visit. The Prime Minister Nguyen Thanh Dung of Vietnam will be on a state visit to India on 27th and 28th of October. India and Vietnam relations have been characterized by high-level exchange of visits. This is the Vietnamese Prime Minister's third visit to India. Let me complete, if you would. He was previously here in 2007 and in 2012. During his visit in 2007, you are aware that we had issued the joint declaration on strategic partnership with Vietnam. In 2012, he came here as part of the India-ASEAN commemorative summit that we had in New Delhi. You are also aware that President Mukherjee visited Vietnam last month. Prior to that, also last year, we had the General Secretary of the Vietnamese Communist Party visiting India. So there is a tradition of exchange of high-level visits, and this visit of the Vietnamese Prime Minister comes in that context. Our ties with Vietnam are robust and growing. Our trade with Vietnam during 2013-2014 was about $8 billion US, registering a growth of over 30% over the previous year. Our exports to Vietnam are about US $5.4 billion, and the imports are about $2.6 billion US. Those of you who follow this very carefully are aware that we had set a target of $7 billion bilateral trade to be achieved by 2015, which we have exceeded well in advance. Investment by Indian companies in Vietnam total approximately $1 billion US. These include investment in agrochemicals, in IT, in oil and gas, mineral exploration, and agricultural processing. You are aware that we had indicated some time ago that the Tata Group, Tata Power, had succeeded in its bid for a thermal power plant, which is 660 megawatts into 2, some time ago. India has extended approximately 18 LOCs to Vietnam, covering about 90 plus projects. We offer 150 iTech scholarships and 40 other scholarships every year to Vietnam. We have also set up a number of capacity building institutions in IT, in English, language training, in vocational training, and in entrepreneurial development. India and Vietnam have excellent cooperation in international fora. You are aware that Vietnam has supported India's permanent membership in an expanded UN Security Council. Cultural linkages form an important aspect of our relationship. In fact, reflecting this cultural linkage, the Vietnamese Prime Minister will first travel to Bodh Gaya before he comes to Delhi. Also, we are discussing with Vietnam the possibilities of the Archaeological Survey of India helping in restoration of conservation of some charm monuments in Misom. An Indian Cultural Center is also being planned to be opened in Hanoi. And we are in discussion to work out possibilities of exchange of cultural content or content for Vietnamese TV stations. Vietnam will also be the country coordinator for India in the ASEAN starting from 2015, and this is one other aspect of our growing relationship. In the defense sector, we have an ongoing program of exchanges, training, capacity building between our defense and security establishments. I'll just give you a little bit of the program before I wrap it up and ask Sanjay to add anything else he would like to add. The program for the visit includes, of course, the visit to Bodh Gaya and the meeting with the Chief Minister of Bihar there. This was on 27th. On 27th evening itself, the Vietnamese Prime Minister will come over to Delhi. On 28th, his program will begin with a folk-out ceremony at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, following which he will visit Rajghat to pay homage to Mahatma Gandhi. And the visiting dignitary will have a series of calls. As usual, the External Affairs Minister will call on him, and so will the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Prime Minister and the visiting dignitary will have meetings in Hyderabad House. These will be both in restricted format as well as delegation-level talks, following which Prime Minister will host a banquet for him. In the evening, he will also call on the Vice President and the President of India before he departs. We see this visit of the Vietnamese Prime Minister to India as an opportunity to consolidate further and strengthen our relationship with one of our strongest and most friendly partners in the ASEAN. I will stop at this and I will ask Sanjay to add something additional to this, following which we will open the floor for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Akbar. You've already heard about the broad outline of the visit, our bilateral cooperation, as well as the program. I wish to highlight the fact that this visit comes at a very interesting time. This is a time when on the economic front, both India and Vietnam are poised for sustained and high levels of economic growth, and also a time when Asia has emerged as the center of global economic recovery. At the regional level, we in India are working towards closer integration with ASEAN, and therefore there are new opportunities that come up in the ASEAN as well as the bilateral context. The spokesman has already mentioned that Vietnam will be the ASEAN coordinator for India for 2015 to 18, and this would see greater possibilities for our deeper engagement with the ASEAN. I also wanted to mention a little bit about the architecture under which this relationship is conducted. This is a very solid and robust relationship. As the spokesman mentioned, we established the strategic partnership 7 years ago in 2007, and we have high-level exchanges every year. The institutional architecture of this is based on the dialogue process at the ministerial level with the Joint Commission, and we have sectoral working groups in virtually every important area. And we also have an architecture of key agreements in the defense, security, economic and culture sphere. So the architecture that helps this particular relationship go forward is also very robust. Finally, I just wanted to mention about what is so special and unique about this visit. And I think the big focus, we have a very strong and mature political defense security understanding and relationship. We have a strong, growing cultural relationship, and the spokesman referred to the charm monuments that the ASI will be working on, the content that we are working on for sharing in the media, in the TV and exchange of films, youth exchanges. But I think the real big focus of this visit is really the economic engagement. We have exceeded our target in trade ahead of schedule, but we see the potential to do even better, much more realizable today. And the reasons that I said about the regional context bring this more into focus. So in this particular visit, quite clearly, the economic engagement will be the top priority. Our aim is to make this a strong pillar of our partnership. Vietnam is keen to diversify its economic base, and this provides a window of opportunity for both the countries to expand and diversify this economic engagement. As the spokesman mentioned, Prime Minister Tang will be accompanied by a 50-strong business delegation. So they'll be having the business forum, which is going to be conducted by CII, FICCI, and NASUCHAM on the 27th. There is already strong cooperation in the oil exploration sector. This is an ongoing one. It has matured very well. But we wish to see much closer cooperation in other areas. We have worked together to identify some of the key areas in which we can take our trade engagement further. And I can specify these for you. These would be in textiles, and the entire range of textiles, in chemicals, including in dyes and agrochemicals. In machinery, there is great interest on the Vietnamese side in importing more machinery from us, including textile machinery, leather and footwear, and also in services such as finance, tourism, and IT. So these are some of the focal areas that we have already exchanged notes on and agreed that will be the items of discussion when our business sectors get together on the 27th. As you know, perhaps, the Bank of India has been working in Vietnam for some time now, and they're expected to get an upgradation to a full branch status very soon. Spokesman also mentioned about the commencement of flights between India and Vietnam, and Jet Airways is going to start flights on the 5th of November between Mumbai, Delhi, and Ho Chi Minh City. And Vietnam Airlines is going to start flights between Vietnam and particularly Hanoi and New Delhi in 2015. A word about the investments, and I think there's been significant discussions on this, and there's been progress on this. Our companies today recognize that as ASEAN integrates and we move towards the ASEAN Economic Community, and let's not forget that Vietnam is negotiating the TPP, which will bring them closer in harmony with the Pacific Partnership. Those Indian companies that establish a presence in Vietnam will actually have a huge advantage in this new integrated Asia and also in the Pacific Partnership. And so there are some of those discussions that are taking place. Infrastructure is a key area. Some of our infrastructure majors are discussing, spokesman mentioned about Tata Energy's big project, which has already been awarded. There are others who are looking at other energy projects. We have recently concluded an agreement for the 30-year management of the Hanoi-Haiphong Highway. Haiphong, as you know, is a major port of Vietnam. And a 30-year commitment shows the interest to have a long-term presence in Vietnam. And this is something that the Vietnamese business appreciates very well. We're also looking at other BOT and PPP projects. Vietnam has recently launched these initiatives in many of our companies. Particularly many Singapore-based Indian companies are looking at these opportunities. We're also looking at the possibilities of, Vietnam has set up a number of industrial parks, which are either industry-specific or country-specific, and our business is looking at some of these opportunities as well. We're also looking at extension of greater credit facilities. So the buyer's credit under the National Export Insurance Account has been made available to the Vietnamese. So to conclude, I would once again highlight the importance of this multifaceted relationship that we have with Vietnam, but the particular potential that we wish to realize in terms of economic engagement during this particular visit. Thank you.
The floor is now open for any questions that you may have. Mr. Venkat Narayan.
In view of the fact that we have already attained the target set for 2015 last year, are you working on any new targets by the year 2020? Is it $20 billion or something like that? What?
Yeah, we are working on those targets, and those targets will be decided by the Prime Ministers when they meet. Yes.
Are there any particular bilateral maritime exercises being planned with Vietnam on the naval side?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yes, Manish.
Since this visit is taking barely a month after the President's visit to Vietnam, taking off from there, what specific progress or outcome we can expect in key areas, say, for example, apart from economic defense or civil nuclear cooperation? Thanks.
Apart from? I thought... Oh, apart from. So what else did you say?
I said progress in other areas, specific outcomes or progress in other areas like defense or maybe civil nuclear cooperation as well.
Manish, I think it's rather an unfair question to ask after he specified clearly that the focus of this visit is on economic cooperation and other areas will continue to be dealt with in due course. So we've highlighted for you up front that our key focus in this visit is going to be economic, and we expect progress on that front. Now, if you pick up other areas, there has been progress on those areas just a month ago. So what do you expect? Every time that we have a meeting, you would have across-the-board progress on everything? I think that's unfair to ask. We've made it very clear that the key focus this time is going to be economic. Yes, ma'am.
India had offered Vietnam a line of credit for purchase of defense equipment. So what kind of equipment India will be giving?
You're right. We concluded the defense LOC for $100 million during the visit of President last month. This is currently under discussion for its implementation. We will see progress on this as the negotiations continue between the Vietnamese and the defense suppliers.
Yeah, we will. Once we finish this, sure. Anyone else on Vietnam? Yes, sir.
Sir, will the Chinese concerns be an impediment in India accepting Vietnam's offer for more participation in more oil exploration blocks in the South China Sea?
You know, Vietnam has offered us some blocks in the South China Sea. We are examining it. And if they are commercially viable for us, certainly we will take those into account and proceed further. India and Vietnam relationship is not contingent on other countries. So our relationship is a bilateral one, and we are focused on those bilateral aspects of our relationship. Okay, if there are no further questions on this, yes, ma'am.
There was that resolution that was passed by the Pakistan National Assembly yesterday. What is India's stand on that? Does this sort of not help in creating the atmosphere really for dialogue, because there's the SARC summit also upcoming where the two prime ministers might be together?
You know, resolutions passed by parliaments are what one can say to be internalization processes. Therefore, why should we have any problem with any internalization process in any country? This is for that country to take a view on and to approach it in an as regards its domestic issues, as regards its domestic audience. As regards any issues relating to an international nature, we've given our views on that, that we do not see any option of any third party being involved in this. Therefore, as far as internationalization is concerned, we are against it. As far as internalization is concerned, this is for Pakistan to sort itself out. Yes, sir.
So last week, the Defence Secretary of Sri Lanka had a visit to India. This visit was happened after after our Defence Secretary Mathu's visit to Sri Lanka. Shall we know what's the outcome of his visit?
You know, Defence Secretary's visit needs to be addressed to appropriate people who were his host. In this case, the Ministry of Defence. So I would suggest that you address this question there. Yes, sir.
This is a related question. There were reports that Sri Lankan North Chief Minister Vigneswaran is expected here around 9. Is it correct?
I mean, that's rather an unfair question to ask me, that Sri Lankan Northern Province Chief Minister is coming. Is he coming on an official visit? My answer to that is, my understanding is that he has been invited by an organization, which you know as well as I know. So why are you asking me that question about from a government perspective? If he is coming at the invitation of a non-governmental organization or another organization, I think you need to address that question to them. Yes.
Sir, a Pakistani group is organizing a rally in London on Sunday on the Kashmir issue. So the rally is taking place despite India taking up the issue with the British government, and External Affairs Minister had in fact taken up the issue with Deputy Prime Minister of Britain during her visit. So your comments, sir?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen these reports of what's called a so-called million march. We are a country of 1 billion. Million march does not overawe us. That said, you know, pluralist democracies at times have platforms which sometimes are misused by those who are enemies of pluralism. Now, it is possible that forces inimical to India-UK relations may utilize opportunities of this sort, and it was in this context that we discussed with the UK, and we were reassured repeatedly that the UK's view is very clear, and that it is for India and Pakistan to resolve any issues that they have by themselves. With that reassurance, we are quite comfortable of any march that is being organized, be it a so-called million march, because we, as I said, we are a country of 1 billion. Million does not overawe us. Millions will also not overawe us. Yes, sir.
Sir, India has joined this Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank as a founding member. what interest would serve to the country as a founding member?
You would appreciate that joining any organization will only be done if it serves our interests. India has huge interests in infrastructural development. For our infrastructure needs are immense, and therefore, if we can leverage our membership in any organization that will help our developmental needs, we will certainly look at that. And it is in that context that we have looked at various developmental organizations which provide funding for developmental purposes. Yes, Gautam.
Sir, one of the last briefing you have confirmed us that Bangladesh government has given a note verbally asking the report on the Burdwan blast. So whether the report has been sent to them or it is being prepared?
Yes. Thank you very much. And I did say, and after that you also heard some of our organizations say that they had received communication to that effect from the Ministry of External Affairs. Now, since then, we have not received the report. Whether it's being prepared or it is still being formulated or it is being thought of, I can't answer that question. But we expect a report which we will factor into our response to the Bangladesh government, which is a friendly government with which we have cooperation on a wide variety of issues, including security-related issues. Yes, sir.
Pakistan is off and on telling that ceasefire violations are taking place from the Indian side. And this is the basis on which they are going to UNA also, one of the bases. So what is your stand, what is your reaction on this?
I think we've made it very clear from the first day, and I don't want to repeat it. And our view is that it is for Pakistan to enter into a situation where we can have an atmosphere conducive for talks. Therefore, our view is very clear that we are ready for a bilateral dialogue under the Simla Agreement and the Lahore Declaration, but that requires an atmosphere which is conducive for talks. When Pakistan, it is therefore, the ball therefore is in Pakistan's court. Yes, ma'am.
अकबर, ऐसी उम्मीद जताई जा रही थी कि नेपाल में इंडिया और पाकिस्तान की बातचीत हो सकती है बायलैटरल, उसके ऊपर कुछ जानकारी देंगे?
अभी तो हम नेपाल के एजेंडा काठमांडू समिट जो सार्क का समिट है उसके एजेंडा के बारे में फाइनल डिसीजन नहीं लिए हैं। तो अगर आप लोगों ने किसी ने कहा तो मुझे पता नहीं, मैंने कभी कुछ नहीं कहा इस बारे में, या किसी और ऑफिशियल प्रवक्ता ने किसी इस बारे में कुछ नहीं कहा। ये तो बस आप लोग अपने आप का मन बहलाने के लिए कुछ भी कहते हैं, तो मैं इसके बारे में कैसे टिप्पणी दूं? Yes, sir.
It's not an issue, MEA, but the question is serious. The epidemic Ebola is spreading country to country, and the WHO report also is serious. So, is there anything role from your side, or it is entirely the health ministries?
There are two aspects of it. One is an international aspect, and one is an aspect relating to public health in India. As regards the international aspect, you are aware that India is amongst those who had first made major contributions, announced major contributions in the international effort in this context. We have, as of now, announced more than $12.5 million commitment to tackle the Ebola virus. These are through WHO for A, relating to equipment, etc., also B, for assisting the WHO, and finally, we are ready to work with the international community in terms of finding a vaccine for that. Number two, we also have indicated that we are willing to work further on this, and we are in consultation with various countries on how best the international community can take this forward. And you will see that there are references in about our international cooperation in the declaration that was issued after Prime Minister met President Obama. If there are no further questions, thank you very much.